Hello writers, come write with me. My name is Mykela Greenwood. I create worlds for mind adventures. Welcome to my channel, Write with Mykela. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell so you can go on this journey with me. Today is story time, but we're getting a new plot, a shared plot, and it's shared plot 3.2. If you're writing with me and you wish to receive the plot or exchange chapters, then send your request or chapter with written permission to WritewithMykela@gmail.com. I will post the email address at the end of the video and in the description. I am looking forward to reading your chapters, even if I can't read them all on the channel. Now the plot. I will give you the new plot, and then I will give it combined at the end of our shared plot 3.1, in case you're writing the story in one book. Hopefully, I'll be able to squeeze both plots combined, the 3.2 and then the combined ones in the description below as well, so you can screenshot it, whatever. If I'm not able to do that, you can of course write to my email address, WritewithMykela@gmail.com, get a PDF of the plot 3.2 or the combined plot, and also screenshotting sometimes is super small, so you can screenshot and then you can hit the little arrow to go down and it'll keep scrolling for you, but you get this long narrow little thing. It's hard to read, so I am perfectly happy to send a PDF as well. Now, there is a third book, so this plot that we're getting today doesn't conclude the story. Here's the new plot. This is the 3.2. Restate prophecy. Then number 2, check in with your characters to see where everybody is and how or what they are currently doing. Note, number 1 and 2 are because this is a book 2. If you're only doing one book, you don't need these steps. Number 3, then start with gathering the people that left, or if you were looking for an object and find it, figure out how it works. Number 4, start training or planning. If the people left, what resources do they have to survive, and how do they train? You know, sometimes, you know, if you're a soldier and you're training, you need a practice rod or something, or you need an actual sword and a shield and stuff. So do they have those things to train, or do they have to find somebody to make those things? So how do they survive and how do they train? Number 5. What is their hope? Is magic returning? Are the people of the prophecies learning? If so, what are they learning? Will it be enough? I mean, the people of the prophecies may be learning to ride dragons. They found some dragons. They're going to ride dragons. And, you know, if you've never ridden a dragon, never ridden a horse, that would be something you'd have to learn. It wouldn't take as long to learn as like a soldier learning his art to fight with a sword. But it's still something that you would need to learn. So, whatever it is they're learning, that's your choice. You're the writer. Will it be enough? Just the people in the prophecies doing this, is that going to be enough? Or do we need to do something else? How can we gain an advantage or balance the odds? So number 6, show the strength, or at least some of the strength of your antagonist. That's the bad guy or the person against our main character. And I want you to also to kind of show or tell how far his or her reach is. So how far is his or her reach? If they fled where they were living, I don't know if you have a city. Maybe you have a city, like you're in Houston or something, and they fled and they moved to Dallas or San Antonio or what. Is that far enough? Or does the antagonist's reach go all across Texas or wherever in your story? In my story, I have to draw a map. So, I have to show on the map how far the reach is on the map. And that's something I haven't done for the channel, is show the map to y'all. But we'll see about it. We'll see about that, if I do that or not. 7. Show any newfound allies. So if their strength isn't going to be enough to balance things or to gain an advantage, are there some new allies that they can bring in to help even the odds? And then show the hope. Show what hope they have. And if they're hiding to learn, show that. If that's necessary, show that. And then that could be part of their hope. Okay, we have this. We have to hide for this amount of time. But after we learn this, we should be able to conquer this antagonist. Okay, so that's what we're doing in this book. Now I will list the first plot and then the second, so you get an overview of the story to this point, or to the end of book 2. Again, you do not have to have 2 or 3 books. You can have 1 book. You just, like, when we read Elloni's Pride, we had Libya, and we had Lydia, and we had Bradley, and we had Broman, and we had Coulter. Maybe you don't. Maybe you have 1 character that's like the hero or whatever, and maybe you have all the villagers or the city dwellers or whatever around that 1 character, but you don't get to know all of those characters. You only focus on the protagonist and the antagonist. And that's fine. That's going to make a shorter story. And so you wouldn't need 2 and 3 books at that point. You could do it with 1 book. So I'm going to read the combined plot. So if you're just doing 1 story, this is kind of more what you would have. I didn't intermingle them. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that you don't have to do it in this order. This is a shared plot. It's a basic, rough plot. It's not an outline of your story. Some people go through and make a very detailed outline. This happens, and that's not what I'm giving you here. I'm giving you a plot, like a general idea of the story, so you can do number 3 and then number 1. You can do number 4 and then number 6. It's up to you what order you do these in, so long as it flows. And we've talked about flashbacks and foreshadowing and stuff like that. So maybe you want to do one of the, like number 4 first, and then go back, flashback to the number 1 or something like that. You can use those tools. Those are at your disposal. So this is just an order. This is kind of how the story is going, so that we can compare how you see it, how I see it when we read your chapter on the channel, and to know that just because we have it like this doesn't mean it's going to be the same. Okay? So, number 1, you have a tyrannical ruler or government in charge. And prophecies tell of the downfall of this ruler or government. The prophecies list a person or people that will bring about the downfall. Number 2, the people listed must hide from the tyrannical government or ruler so that the bad people won't kill them. Number 3, show life for normal people and are those helping to hide the ones of the prophecies. How do you tell the normal people, how do you tell the normal people apart from the ones in the prophecies? Now, if you've been with me on this journey, with Elloni's Pride, the linkers are the ones in the prophecies, and they get a mark on their arm, and the light bursts forth when the dragon is hatching, and then the mark kind of looks tattooed on their arm. That's how you tell them apart. It's one way that you tell them apart. So that doesn't mean that's what you do. Maybe they have a gem or something that they wear, and maybe they have to go on some coming of age journey, and when they do, they find a gem. So all of the people that are the prophets or in the prophecies have this gem that they wear, and that tells the people who they are. It's up to you what you do. So I'm just trying to give you ideas here. So how do you tell the normal people apart from the ones in prophecy? Number 4, the people of the prophecies have a specialty, a skill, or connection to help them overthrow the tyrannical person or government. In my Elloni's Pride, they are going to be dragon riders. They have a dragon also. So dragons, are pretty powerful. In the stories, I imagine they usually are. Number 5, the people of the prophecies must train to be able to overthrow the tyranny, or they must find something to help them. Do they need to leave the village, the city, or wherever to train or find said thing? Number 6, the normal people must leave their village or city to stay safe, while the ones in the prophecies train or find whatever they need to find, or both. Now, some people may leave and some may stay. Maybe it's not safe to stay, but that doesn't mean that everyone is going to leave. And then we saw that in Elloni's Pride. We saw that some of the people were just too scared to leave. They just went down in their cellars, or down in the cellars available, and they stayed there, and they were eating the stores, and they were too scared to leave. But some of them were like too scared to stay, because they knew that the soldiers could come anytime and kill whosoever, whensoever they wanted. So just because I'm saying you need to have people leave to stay safe, that doesn't mean you have to make everyone leave. This is your creation. Number 7, once the people leave, find some hope. Maybe another ruler who can ally. Maybe find what the people in the prophecies need to find. If it's an amulet, or if it's a staff, or it's a book of magic, or whatever it is, to make sure they find that, or they have an idea of where it is and they're heading towards that. Maybe bring back magic. So in my story, in Elloni's Pride, if you're following me, magic was there, but the people were repressed so much that they didn't know the words to charms anymore, and they didn't know how the magic worked. So they started saying charms, and things started working. So bring the magic back, or something. Give some hope to come back and overthrow the ruler. Of course, there is that question, and I deal with this question in my book, is, okay, if we leave and we're safe, why do we come back? And it could be for the ones that didn't leave, that they refused to leave because they were too scared. Maybe you have to go back for those few. Or maybe the antagonist's arm is so long that there's no place that you could be safe. So, it's your choice on why you want to continue. Maybe your story, you don't want to come back and fight. Maybe your story is just getting all the people away to safety as much as you can, and then hoping that the antagonist doesn't follow you or find you and stuff. But we still need to build up to a climax. So don't forget that part. We still need to build up to the climax. So if you're leaving and you're not returning to fight, then, you know, this escape needs to be like a narrow escape or something like that. Number 8. So this is actually like number 3 on the plot 3.2 because I'm leaving out the first two, number 2, 1 and 2. So this is number 8 here on the combined, but it was number 3 above. So then start gathering the people that left, or if you were looking for an object and find it, figure out how it works. So we got to find out what we need to do, then we got to go do it. That's part of the adventure. Number 9, start training or planning. If the people left, what resources do they have to survive, or how do they train? If you were following Elloni's Pride, they found wild mushrooms, they found wild lettuce, they found wild onions, they found things to eat, they found berries to eat, so they have things to eat. And then even Bradley was looking to see if, Bradley and Hushman both were looking to see if some of the food had gone to seed already, so they were collecting seeds as well. Then when you looked at Trenton, he was telling the girls to, if you see wild cotton, gather it. I don't know how we're going to spin it. We have to have it first. So he was telling the boys, gather stones, we'll make arrows. He says, I don't know how to do that, but gather twice as many so we can mess up. You know, so they have ideas of what they need to do to continue. And it may be different for you. You may not be in the same kind of setting or time period that I am. So maybe like in Red Dawn, I think that was the name of the movie, where the Russian people came over and the kids needed food. Well, they went to some of the convenience stores or the 7-Elevens and got food out of those stores while, you know, the Russians were holding the storekeepers and stuff in prison and stuff. So you don't have to do it the same way I do. They don't necessarily need the same thing that my characters need. Maybe your characters need gas. Maybe your characters need batteries. Maybe your characters need, you know, food or money or whatever. You have to decide what resources they need to survive. What resources do they have to survive? And how do they train? Maybe you have robots that the people of prophecies are building robots that are going to fight for them, you know. So maybe they're training, they've been training before your story, and then now they're putting their skills to work. This is your creation. You get to do it however you want to do it. And number 10, what is their hope? Is magic returning? Are the people the prophecies learning? If so, what are they learning? Will it be enough? Number 11, show the strength, or at least some of the strength of your antagonist, and how far is his or her reach. So they're going through all this, but how strong is that antagonist? How much do you need to go and fight and stuff like that? So if they're in one place and they could just leave and not be found again, then you're done. But if the antagonist can follow you or track you or enclose you or whatever you decide to do in your story, then that shows you how much stronger the antagonist is than what you maybe first thought. Oh, he's in his kingdom and he goes to the village to get taxes, and he does that the full moon. And in between, they go down their cellars and they cut up their vegetables into letters. So you think they're kind of okay. But then when Browser escaped, you saw a whole nother kingdom that he went and attacked, a whole nother kingdom. So he has dragons and he has soldiers and he has might in my story. So I've shown you some of the strength of the antagonist. And in book 2, you're going to see more how far his King Damon Tate's reach is. So that's what you need to do in your stories as well. See how far is the reach of the antagonist. Number 12. Show any newfound allies. So we know that King Fate, right, in Elloni's Pride, is an ally. Are there more people? Because Browser was going, and I don't know where y'all left off now. I think Browser went, he dropped Bradley and them off in Troutsimmer Kingdom, and then he went to Drop Knot Kingdom to find people or supplies or what have you. And then he was going to another kingdom to do the same thing. So, does he find people? And that you'll have to see that in book 2 to see if he finds any new allies. And if he doesn't, will the people from King Fate Wright's kingdom be enough at this point to overturn King Damon Tate? And 13, the last one, show the hope and the hiding to learn if necessary. So what's the hope? Do we have these linkers? And I guess I'll give a little bit away, because you already know that there was like 13 dragons or something by the end of book 2. And Libya was like, did my father not know the number? And so one hope in book 2 that you're going to learn about is that there are more than 10 dragons, and there are more than 10 linkers that are coming forward, and they weren't known and they weren't in the prophecies. So that's going to be more hope to have more of those people, more baby dragons, more linkers. So, not trying to spoil too much for book 2. Show the hope and the hiding to learn if necessary. Now, like I said above, I did not give number 1 and 2 of plot 3.2 when I joined them. That is because when you end a book, you tie things off or conclude them. And then when you start the second book, you have to bring the people, your readers, up to speed on where you are. You have to do that no matter if your next book starts the next day or the next minute, or it starts several years later. You still have to bring your reader back up to speed. Now, a lot of times a publisher will publish your book 1, several months or a year before book 2. So, when you kind of do number 1 and 2, which was to restate the prophecy and check in on everybody, that reintroduces your readers to your characters. So they don't have to reread book 1. Although some readers will certainly do that. Oh, it's been a year. Because some readers read so many things that if they're not reading book 2 right behind book 1, they will go back and reread book 1 so they can, oh yeah, that's this book. So some readers will certainly go back and reread. But we're trying to give them the tools where they don't have to. Also note that if your story goes across multiple books, you still need congruency and flow and interrelatedness. If you created rules for something like magic, then those rules need to be the same from book 1 to book 2. That's one thing I mean about congruency. Another thing I mean is if someone died in book 1, they can't somehow be alive in book 2 unless you're doing the Mummy or something like that and they're resurrected or whatever. Yeah, there are stories out there like that. But what I mean is they died. They were in battle. They died. You can't just all of a sudden insert them as a character And it could be easy. You could, like, maybe not remember who you killed in your first book. And I say you killed because you're the writer, you're the creator. So you get to decide who lives and who dies. So all of a sudden it's like, oh, that would be the perfect character for that. Oh, wait a minute. You know, in Miacha, I had one of my dragons. I had a couple dragons die. But one was Miacha's first hatchling, or the one she considered to be her first hatchling. And she really, you know, she missed that dragon. So you have to be aware of that. And then if somebody did die, you kind of need the feelings to kind of come up. People suppress things a lot of times, so you don't have to have it at the top all the time, but kind of see it and that kind of thing. So keep it congruent, meaning keep it to where it's not a whole separate different story, or things are so weird that your readers are like, oh, where did she get this? Where did he get this? I'm not seeing the connection. It needs to flow and connect and be interrelated and stuff like that. Now, certainly, if you had a character and you didn't actually kill them, you didn't see their death, they were like missing in action and then found. You can find them in book 2, or they can come back in book 2. So they can certainly be missing and then found. Another thing about a second book or third book is to remember flashbacks. That's a tool we talked about. Your readers will enjoy small flashbacks to help them remember what they read. This is not taking and repeating whole big scenes. Put little snippets. Put a little snippet in, a little snippet in. Especially if that will help your characters remember why they are on their mission. Okay? In Elloni's Pride, the villagers that sat with their backs to that fire, they can remember that night. You don't have to go back through and, you know, re-kill Jarson or re-kill Coulter's parents or re-kill all those kids. Just them sitting with their backs to the fire and seeing their homes burn is enough of a snippet to remind your readers what happened. And it helps your characters remember why they are on their mission. And in book 2, I will go ahead and tell you this. I have several characters to say, I never want to live through another day like that, where I had that retching fear in my chest and I couldn't breathe. I never want to live like that again, ever. And so that is why they go on and they practice and they learn and they do their exercises and they keep doing things, because they keep that memory at the forefront of their mind. So they know why they're on their mission. They hope they never have to fight King Damon Tage, but his arm is long and they have to be prepared. Now, leave a comment below on which plot or writing prompt you are working on currently and on your word count. If you're doing all of them, the cave, da-da-da, a down soldier, da-da-da, all of them. If you want to leave all of them, if you're working on all of them, that is great. Leave all of that. If you're just working on shared plot 1, that's great. Just leave that. Leave whichever plot or writing prompt you're working on. And the word count. Now, Elloni's Pride breaking point. This is me leaving mine. So Elloni's Pride breaking point, which was the book 1, currently has 93,564 words. And Elloni's Pride regrouping currently has 78,703 words. As far as I'm aware, my genre of fantasy adventure is supposed to have between 80,000 and 120,000 words. So book 1 is good. And I I have room to fill out a scene or two in book 2, which may or may not happen as I read to the channel. Also, I know I ad-libbed a few times in book 1, and I don't know if those things ever made it in the book. But I have plenty of room to add those things. I'm not maxed out at 120,000 already. If you don't have that many words, that is okay. We're all busy. You know, I have a bike ride that I do every day. I'm over 1,000 days on my bike ride. February 20. Well, this isn't going to go post until later, but February 26th will be 3 years for me. And today is February 17th. So I'm getting really close to my 3-year mark on my bike ride. I practice the piano. I read. I have a part-time job. My husband works. Of course, we have to have food to eat and groceries to buy and clothes to wash, all the normal things. We are so busy, all of us. So, maybe you only have 10,000 words. That's great. Leave that in the comments. Maybe you're still working on Shared Plot 1 because you're one of those people that you start a project and you finish it. And you don't start 2 and 3 and 4 projects. And that's great. My grandmother told me just start one project and finish it before I start anything else. So if that's what you're doing, you're following my grandmother's advice. And that is great. Leave it in the comments. Maybe you're enjoying writing on your cave story. That's excellent. Leave that in the comments. As you leave your comments, the rest of us will know how we have a community of people writing with us. Give us some connection. Okay, join me Tuesday for us to discuss some jargon or maybe something about reflexes. An idea on reflexes just popped in my head. Join me Friday for Elloni's Pride, Book 2, Regrouping. We will read Chapter 1, Checking In. And visit my website, WritewithMykela.com, and read some character bios. If you read some, then leave a comment on which ones you've read. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and the bell so we can continue to write together and other people will have a higher chance of finding this video and this channel since your likes will push the video out to a greater audience. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate your participation. If you know someone who would like this video, then please share it with them. This is Mykela with Write with Mykela. Bye for now.